Hello, my name's Bond, Richard Bond, and this is Curmudgeonly Yours, a show on Society Bites Radio, part of the Radio Ear Network family, supplying social interaction for the mind and soul. The introductory and concluding music to this show is La Polonaise by Wieniawski, played by Max Bond. I am your host and curmudgeon, where everything is what it seems. Nothing is what it seems. And what is not said is often of most interest. Today, my guest is Eric M. Twiggs, and today on Curmudgeonly Yours, we are going to talk about procrastination. Mr. Twiggs is, in his own words, a, quote, procrastination prevention partner. Hi, Eric.
How you doing?
Fine, thanks. Thanks for being on Curmudgeonly Yours on Society Bites Radio.
Hey, thank you for having me on your show.
My pleasure. Eric M. Twiggs is an author and motivational speaker. And this is what he writes, and I'm going to quote from your recent things. Unleash your innate potential to succeed. I have been waiting all my life to help you unleash your unlimited potential. I believe that we're each born with a purpose in life. That's why I have spent most of my career helping people move from dissatisfaction to satisfaction, from disengaged to engaged, and from complacent to motivated, energized, and active. Why have you come here? What is it that you're striving for in life? Are you exploring all of life's possibilities, or are there voids you're struggling to fill? Every person has the capability to excel when they are inspired, when they manage their time effectively, and when they fully explore their gifts and talents. My company helps make it possible for you to be your best person by building you in each of these areas. There's a whole world out there waiting for you to take your place in life. And now, how will you respond to that call? The urgency is now, so let's get started. I've made it easy for you to connect with me. And remember that I know what it means to strive. And anyway, so you and I will get there together. Sincerely, Eric M. Twiggs. And that's from your website. Eric, procrastination means procras, or for tomorrow in Latin, mañana, domani, aduna, to throw around a few languages. In an ironic twist, Dr. Evil Scientist in that James Bond satire Goldmember with Mike Myers would put his pinky to his lip and say, why do today when you can put off until tomorrow? Eric Twiggs, how did you get into the study of procrastination, and what's wrong with procrastination?
So, in my coaching sessions, I've had over 28,000 coaching sessions with entrepreneurs and executive leaders. And even back from when I used to manage employees, I've had 500 employees at one time that worked for me, I started noticing trends. So I noticed you could have two people. You could have someone that gets good results, and then you can have someone that gets great results. And here's what I found. I found that in most cases, they have a similar level of know-how. They know a lot of the same things. But in all of my years of study and coaching, I've discovered that the difference between the good person and the great person is that the great person, they can get themselves to do the things they need to do, whether they feel like it or not. And that's really what got me focused on how important it is that we overcome procrastination. And then, so the second part of your question is, what's wrong with procrastination? So procrastination becomes a problem when you're delaying on the things that are vital to your success. When you're putting off those things that you know you need to do, and we all have those things that we know we need to do that are vital to our success, and that's what's wrong with it, because it's a silent killer. Because quite often there's no, let's say you put off preparing for your presentation, you wait till the last minute, everybody pats you in the back and says you did a good job, but the truth is your presentation would have been a lot better if you had taken the time to prepare.
Oh, okay. So that's why you say from good to great, but I was going to say, what about bad? You don't have bad people working for you because they would have been fired, right?
Well, a lot of the bad people tend to procrastinate more, and they tend to struggle with prioritizing their time.
Right. Well, Eric, lately I've been feeling lazy. I've even been procrastinating writing up our interview today. It seems like there is so little time. There are actually 168 hours in a week, and so much to do. In addition, there seems to be so much red tape nowadays, like obligatory text messages you got to answer to, phone calls, chores, housework, questionnaires to fill out after every service call or purchase online, junk mail, forms to fill out. I call all of this human maintenance, and it takes away from the quality of life. I often procrastinate this human maintenance. That's me personally. I'm sure a lot of people also, which just leads to more guilt for not doing it. How does one get out of the constant guilt and procrastination paradox, or do you worry about those principles, those ideas of guilt?
So when you talk about guilt, it's all about, you have to really pay attention to how you talk to yourself. A lot of times we make ourselves feel guilty because you say, oh, I'm such a procrastinator. There I go again. I'm always late. Oh, I know I need to do better. So the key is really how you talk to yourself. And sure. you need to talk to yourself like you would your best friend. And that's what really helps. So, like, I have a model. It's called the Procrastination Prevention Pyramid that I talk about in the book. And the first step on the model, or the first level, is your attitude and your thinking. And so if you can address how you talk to yourself, that'll go a long way so you overcome that guilt. And then the other piece of your question, you're talking about having all these things to do, right? Phone calls, chores, housework, all of that. So here's what I found. The problem usually isn't having too much to do. The problem is not knowing what to do next. And so the key is you have to understand that 20% of the things you do are getting you 80% of your results. Right.
So, and you got to do that 20%.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you think about it, there seems to be more and more stuff, and even with the things online, and I guess you sort of have to prioritize when you're talking about what to do next. So there are a lot of things you shouldn't do. You should just basically ignore. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely. And so one of the things I teach people is to really get in the habit of time blocking. Right? That's one of the things that can help with all of the things you have to do. So if let's say you've got a presentation that you're working on, block out the time and just really say, during this 30-minute window, I'm not going to respond to emails, social media, phone calls, hey, you got a minute. I'm going to focus strictly, and then you set a kitchen timer, and you just focus strictly on that particular task until you're done.
Right.
And when you set your calendar and you set off those blocks of time, that's one of the ways to help you to focus on what's important without being distracted by everything else.
Well, that's funny. I remember I used to do that when I was 12, 13, when I had to study for my exams in Montreal. I had 2 hours for history, 2 hours for French, etc., etc. That's funny. But, you were talking about how you speak to yourself, and as an ex-tennis player, and you probably know tennis players, boy, they speak really badly to themselves on the court, to get themselves going. And you hear things like, I'm so bad, how could I miss that shot, et cetera, et cetera. I guess that's what you mean by the self-talk.
Absolutely. So, and then you have to be careful with when you say I am. So I am, those two words, that's an identity statement. And whatever comes next, here's how the brain works. You tend to act out in accordance to who you believe you are. So when you say, I am a procrastinator, you're going to be more likely to procrastinate. Or if this is something I can relate to, I always hit the ball in the water.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, for golf. Yeah, golf. Okay.
Yeah, with golf or tennis, hey, I always hit the net.
Yeah.
You'll be more likely, and a lot of sports trainers will tell you have to be careful with what you're saying to yourself.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. Well, Eric, let's talk about your books, The Discipline of Now. I sort of like that. I like that title. And One Moment in Time. Let's talk about time management. Well, you've already talked to us a bit about it, but what's your take on time management? Give us some more details here.
So here's what's interesting. Here's what I find. When we talk about time management, generally people are bad at predicting how long things will really take, right? And we assume best case scenario. Like, for example, let's say if you give yourself a half hour to get to the office.
Right.
You're assuming that there's not going to be an accident along the way. There's not going to be any type of traffic jam. You're not going to misplace your keys. We assume best case scenario, and that's why most people tend to struggle when it comes to managing their time, and because we don't factor in the buffer, and we wait around to the last minute and procrastinate. It just makes it worse.
Yeah, well, it's funny because in the 1980s I read a book called How to Make Yourself Miserable, and they would give you exercises on how to do this. I think the book is out of print by now, but they would give you all sorts of exercises. One of them was, make a very important meeting that you have to be to. Give yourself the minimum amount of time, put the minimum amount of gas in your car so you get there, and then try to do it. And just do it and really leave it the very last minute. And then worry the whole time how to make yourself miserable, right? Worry the whole time whether you're going to get there in time, whether you're going to run out of gas, and how important this meeting is to you. There's all sorts of little exercises like that.
Right.
Eric, let's see. Financial independence, and this has a lot to do with procrastination. What does one have to do to achieve financial independence, and how does this fit in with procrastination?
Well, I think when you talk about that, I think clarity. One of the things I make in the book is that clarity is the starting point of success. So it helps to have clear goals in a direction of that. So we talk about financial independence. Sometimes we have with a fear of success when it comes to finances. And that's one of the things that causes people to procrastinate, believe it or not, that your fear. And so if you have a belief that if I become rich, then I'm going to become a bad person, or I'm not going to have time for my family, that wealth is an either-or proposition. So either I can be wealthy or I can be a good family man. Either I can be wealthy or I can be a good person. So you have to understand that you can have both.
Sure.
And you have to, be aware of this, be mindful of this fear of success that can crop up. And I work with business owners that are afraid to charge the full value of their service.
Yeah, that's funny. So they feel like they're really not worth enough. Is that what you're saying?
That they doubt their self-worth, and they doubt the fact that people will pay for value. People, if they feel the value, they will find the money.
Right.
And I think that hurts business owners, and I think that's something, that mindset is what keeps them from being financially independent, because they're afraid to charge the full value of their service because of that fear.
What about teachers? Teachers are notorious for not valuing their time and, not valuing themselves, really.
What do you mean, teachers don't value themselves?
Well, I don't think so. I mean, there are many teachers that are very poor, unless they're called corporate trainers, I think. But teachers, in schools, university teachers, public school teachers, even when they tutor, they give lessons outside. I don't think they really value themselves because they don't ask enough money. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that can be an